Hey guys, Levelcap and Luton here with an episode of On the Level. Today we're going to be talking about Battlefield 4, more information that we got from Gamescom. And I think we should start off with weapons. Now, there's been a little bit of controversy because, some people aren't getting back their favorite guns in the game. The F2000, the 1911. I think there's a few other pretty popular weapons out there that aren't going to be making it into the vanilla version of Battlefield. But it's not to say that we aren't getting a lot of cool new stuff. Is there anything in particular that you're excited about, Luton?
I don't know about excited, but I'm curious about the shorty because I've seen it used, and I think that's going to definitely change around the kind of close quarter situations. I've seen some Jack Frag stuff using it, and it seems really, really curious. But on the issue of kind of people not getting their weapons back, I don't think it's a big deal, really. I mean, they're going to balance it out. There's going to be alternates that people get into, and I actually think it's a good thing because it means people are forced in a way to kind of change up and sort of try out new things, and that's what it's all about. And I think it can't really be a bad thing. I just think it means that people are going to have to adapt how they want to play, you know?
Yeah, we don't want M16 versus M16 all over again. We want to take that out of the game or at least change it up and give people enough new options. I agree with you in that the shorty is a pretty exciting looking new feature in there. And I noticed that the it's called the Ace. I was calling it the ACE, but apparently it's the Ace. It's an updated version of the Israeli Galil.
Yeah.
Is coming into the game, and we're getting 4 different versions of that for like every single category practically of weapon. And it's something that most people haven't even heard of, and we're getting 4 of them. So it'll be interesting to see all the new variety of weapons rather than the standard M4s and AKs. Now we're getting a bunch of Swedish guns and just weird things that I think a lot of Westerners haven't really heard of.
Yeah, there's that really weird, I've forgotten the name of it. There's that Curious Real SMG, isn't it, I think? Or it's like a little
Yeah,
sort of
it's
ballpark
like
thing.
the QBS or
Yeah.
QBJMS, something like that. The little green Uzi.
Yeah, and it has like a bipod and crazy setup. And I think they're really trying to throw some kind of oddballs into the game, some wild cards, sort of try and mix it up a little bit, get people kind of trying out new things, try and change the gameplay up a bit. The only thing that bothers me a little bit, and I kind of thought about, was the balancing, you know? And I think this is something people just need to bear in mind, is that whenever you sort of throw some new things in there, there's going to be some balancing. It's just going to happen. But you just have to kind of take it as read that to begin with, there's going to be a few balancing things, but it'll work itself out in the end. And also, if there's new weapons that aren't sort of in there, or people have missed out on weapons, they will come back in probably, or there's an opportunity that it'll come back in because they've got all these, battle packs to come in. They're going to have to throw some stuff in there. And if there's popular guns, there's a pretty good chance they're going to be like, hey, everybody loves this gun. It's a great idea to throw this into a battle pack. So it's not that just because it's not in the vanilla doesn't mean it may not appear at all. So
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that that's going to happen at some point, either battle pack or expansion. I think somebody was saying that guns weren't coming in battle packs, but whatever premium things that they got going on, we're going to be getting the guns.
yeah,
What do you
sure.
think about the fact that we have 10 knives? I mean, obviously it's not going to change up the gameplay, but are you digging the variety?
I wish that they'd added slightly different animations for each knife or something. I think that would have been really cool. So like with the shank or whatever, you stab them in a different way, or with the you can imagine with the sort of more brutal kind of military knives, you may be like, sorry, this is a bit full on, but like maybe like gut him and stuff like this. I'm thinking particularly of like with Killzone, some of the brutal animations in Killzone, like one of them.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, one of them, you turn the guy around, you stab the knife right through his visor, right through his face. And it's like, I think that would have been really cool. If they've put in all these different knives, it would have been awesome to have different animation features for each one that was kind of suited and appropriate to it. But if they're just different knives, well, it's just cosmetic. But on the other hand, kind of DICE is just trying to be fun, and they're just trying to change it up. They're throwing us some fun things like they always do. So I think it's a bit of a good time thing there. But I would have loved to see more animation there.
Well, in that light, I think the ACB 90. You think you should have to repeatedly cut them like they're opening a box? Then,
yeah,
or
so much.
there's the improvised one, which is like a piece of wood with like a blade tied onto it. That should be interesting for trying to kill somebody with that thing.
Makes you think of Team America, where he hands him the claw hammer. And just be like, give him that, and just be like, have that in there as well. But no. It's just fun times. It's just DICE messing around. But
I don't think anything in there seems like it's too out of place. They made an improvised crossbow work in Battlefield 3. So any of these knives and melee weapons, I think, are going to be pretty acceptable.
Definitely.
Was there a butterfly knife? I don't think there was one. That would have been kind of neat, though.
going on with other things that they're adding in, grenades. Now, there's a load of new grenades, but specifically a couple of them are really, really cool. I'd be interested to sort of see which ones you think are the best or which are going to have the most impact. One that particularly I picked up on was the RGO Impact. Now, this is going to be like a sort of a grenade, a frag grenade, but it actually explodes on contact. So instead of throwing a grenade, it bounces down and it has a timer on there. When it comes into contact with any surface, it's going to blow up. So if you throw it near a load of guys, bang, they're down. No more waiting around. And I think that's going to be a really interesting dynamic change as well. Is there anything else that you sort of...
You know what my favorite part of that grenade is going to be is when you're trying to like thread the needle with a grenade throw and it just blows up in your face. Like, you know, that's going to happen a lot. I like the fact that they're bringing an impact grenade into the game. It's definitely going to add a huge element of skill back into the grenade aspect, because it's going to give you that option to, rather than wait for your enemies to run away from your grenade, now you can just throw it perfectly through the door. But like I said, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of moments where you blow yourself up by accident, so it's going to be one of those finely tuned weapons. Then we've got flashbangs, which, you know, just about all tactical shooters nowadays seem to have flashbangs in them. I think this is Battlefield's very first flashbang. We're still getting tactical lights, so we've got multiple ways to blind people now. But I think it could be good as long as it's in moderation, like anything.
I think having a tactical grenade like a flashbang is really important to actually have in there, and I like the fact that they've done a flashbang rather than like a stun or a flash, because a flashbang is what it's designed for. You know, it's meant to disorientate and blind them at the same time. So I like that it's in there. I think it could be really, really useful. I mean, can you imagine flashbang combined with an impact grenade? You throw it all in, they're not going to know what hit them. But I love it. It does just give you a whole tactical edge, and I think for kind of, you know, fast building clearances and just getting in there dealing with people, it's going to be really good. It's going to be interesting to see how it impacts different game modes, because for example in Conquest or Rush maybe has less of an impact, but on the more close quarter sort of or more intense game modes, Obliteration, Diffuse and Domination, I think that's definitely going to have a much stronger role to play.
Or maybe even in Rush, you know, you got those bipod LMG guys set up, and they're going to be a little bit hard to hit directly with a grenade throw, but a flashbang in the general area could disrupt them enough for you to make a really effective push. Then we've got incendiary grenades, which could be very useful for blocking off hallways or throwing into small buildings, because they look like they go off pretty quickly compared to like a frag grenade. And definitely it's sort of like a combination of damaging damage over time and disorientation, because you're not going to be able to shoot through the explosion of an incendiary grenade, at least not accurately. It's going to be very hard to see anybody on the other side. So, like, it seems like a really cool tool that can be used for a lot of different situations.
Yeah, definitely. I think the only one that I'm not so sure about is the flares. I was trying to think about this earlier, and I was just thinking, all it does is literally light up or designate an area. And I was just trying to think what sort of situation you could actually use that in. I think it will look cool, you know, like when you're running around maybe a bit of a dark area, the way that the light works in Battlefield 4, it's going to look awesome. So it just adds to that kind of feel of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit trickier to... I know they're trying to find ways to organize larger groups of players without using voice communication. And I think that's why they put that in the game there.
Especially with a safe route, you know? Like if an area is clear, you mark it down like, okay, this is if you've got multiple lanes to move up to an objective area, if you're running forward, I mean, if you're on like, especially if you've got voice over network chat now, and you can say to the guys, okay, I'm moving up the left side, I've marked it the safe route with a flare, and then people are like, look, they can just see the light, and they're like, okay, this is where I need to be going. So there's options in there. It just depends how much people want to obey what they say as well, as always.
I think it's cool that they give you the option. You know, there's no harm in it, really. I mean, unless there is, for some weird reason, a bug involved or something. But for the most part, I don't think there's anything bad that could come from it. So it just gives you the option to try and implement some sort of emergent gameplay, you know, and that's something that I think all developers try and shoot for. It's like, let's give people enough tools so they can create their own tactics and their own strategy, much like putting C4 on any sort of vehicle in the game wasn't by design. It just sort of happened, and now it's a big part of Battlefield. Maybe something involving flares could emerge from that.
Okay, and I think we've got one last thing to talk about now, and that is the new map that we've seen today. Now, we haven't really seen it, but it's a kind of overview. We've seen some screenshots of the commander mode sort of tabletop view, and it clearly shows a dam. It also seems to show a kind of river section area with a few islands, and I think one of the most interesting elements we saw, there was a small sort of submarine availability for the commander. What do you think about this, Level? Do you think, what do you think about this map, and what's the deal with this submarine?
Well, first of all, I really don't know what to think about the submarine. There's all this speculation, is it going to be a fire platform? Is it going to help control certain areas of the water? Because the map that we're looking at, it is the dam map, but there's a big lagoon in the center that looks like there's definitely going to be a lot of naval combat. And we've all seen once a dam breaks in that trailer that certain parts of the map might be flooded.
Yeah.
So, if it is a water dependent map, who knows what the submarine's going to do, but it could be like the water equivalent of the AC-130. I don't know, shooting torpedoes at boats or something like that.
Well, I think one thing we need to sort of think about as well is this actually the dam map that we've seen in the trailer gameplay? Because looking at the top-down view, I'm not sure whether it is. We question whether there's even potentially a couple of maps that could have a dam involved. And, if they've bothered to take the time to design, now they did say, obviously, that they wanted each map to have its own unique evolution. So with that said, maybe it is just this map. But just looking at the down view there, the area around the map, it just doesn't look as big as we kind of saw in the trailer, but I guess it's all a sense of like just how much space there is down there. And so if it's a kind of bigger map overall than it looks just from these screenshots, I think that's where you'll see the submarine come in, because maybe actually there is actually a larger body of water than it looks just from these screenshots. And if that's the case, well, the submarine is going to have a much stronger role than you might imagine. If it actually has plenty of space to move around and there's more sort of involvement for boats and so on, then I think it could have a strong role.
I think one thing that's really apparent is that we've seen an element of naval combat in every single map that they've showed from Battlefield 4 so far. And it was something that, again, we were wondering so much how much naval combat was going to influence Battlefield 4. And it seems like they're trying to integrate it to every single map. This dam map here looks like it's going to be as influential as perhaps Paracel Storm is, with boats affecting it, especially after the dam breaks, opening up some of that land area to naval combat there. So it makes me think about what they're going to do with some of the other maps coming down the line. I know we're going to have infantry maps like Operation Metro and whatnot, but still, if you want to get good at driving a boat in Battlefield 4, it seems like that's something you might be able to do full time.
Anyway, guys, we'd love to hear what you guys think about the submarine itself. I'm sure you can come up with some really awesome ideas about how it could be used and what role it has to play in Battlefield 4. Be sure to drop it in the comments below. So this has been another episode of On the Level with me and Levelcap. Join us next time for some more Battlefield 4 discussion. See you then, guys.